Hey everyone, I'm Martin from Tech Altar and I am back from my holidays, which means it is review time again. And you guys seem to have liked the Oppo R7 Plus camera review that I did, so it's now time to put the same phone on the Tech Altar for a full review. Big phones are still selling like hotcakes apparently, and the Oppo R7 Plus is here with a 6-inch screen to become the biggest brother or sister of the Oppo family. And with these 6 inches, it is huge. You will definitely need at least 2 hands for it. At least the bezels, especially on the top and bottom, are very thin, but still this phone is massive. For big screen lovers though, you'll get a ton of screen for a body that isn't completely unwieldy. When you pick up the device, it also instantly tells you it's high quality. There's a unibody magnesium aluminum back with a chamfered metal ring around the edges and a back that tapers nicely to make the R7 Plus both reasonably comfortable and grippy. Your only color option is this rather handsome gold for now, though I'm sure many of you would have liked another choice. The front glass has similar curves on the sides, which Oppo calls 2.5D, and as I've said before, curves all the way. A 6-inch Full HD AMOLED screen is flanked on the top by an 8-megapixel front-facing camera and an earpiece that's loud enough, and on the bottom by nothing. That is right, for the first time in Oppo history, no capacitive buttons are seen here. On the back you have a 13-megapixel main camera together with laser autofocus, dual LED flash and a fingerprint reader. And last here is the main speaker. And all you need to know about it is that it's on the back and that it's somewhere between okay and good. On the sides you'll get lovely metal buttons that are perfectly placed, firm and clicky, and also a SIM tray that will allow for either dual 4G SIM support or one SIM plus a microSD card to add to the already fairly generous 32GB of starting storage. Pretty sweet. So in summary, the hardware quality of the R7 Plus is just fantastic. Everything fits seamlessly and the hardware has an attention to detail that is just stunning. The usual drawback is of course that the battery is sealed in, but at a massive 4100 mAh, that's also coupled with Oppo's superior VOOC fast charging, it's not a big issue for me. The body is also pretty easy to scratch or dent if you're like me and you subconsciously somehow enjoy dropping your phones or something. But that's pretty much the standard price to pay for a metal unibody. Great overall design then, though much of the credit will have to go to Huawei here, as the R7 Plus is just a bit too, well, inspired by the popular Huawei Mate 7. So just like with most other Oppo phones, you can wake the R7 Plus up with any of the screen off gestures such as double tap to wake, a circle for the camera, or anything else you want to set up yourself. What's cool here though is the fingerprint reader. It works by simply laying your finger on it and it's right up there with the big boys. It practically never fails and unlocks the phone instantly. What's less cool is that NFC is not included on the R7 Plus. What this means is that you won't be able to use your phone to pay for stuff, for example with NFC and fingerprint readers. So I personally couldn't care less about this. I mean, I never use my NFC chip barely for anything, no payments, no nothing, but seeing how wild people went over the OnePlus 2 not having NFC, I mean, I saw people who predicted that the whole company would go down for leaving this feature out. Clearly, there's people who care about it a lot. So if you're one of those, keep in mind, the R7 Plus has no NFC. Anyway, once the phone is unlocked, 6 inches of Full HD AMOLED are awaiting you, and that's quite a sight. The display is bright, the colors, just like on other AMOLED panels, are comically vivid, contrast is killer, and if you set up a wallpaper with a lot of black on it, you won't see the otherwise ugly black ring around the display, and it will look nearly edge to edge. Sadly though, I've been spoiled by QHD displays, and while the display of this phone is theoretically in Apple's magical Retina land, it's not too hard to see pixels here. Many of you will argue that at least it's easier on performance and battery life, but I have to maintain that phones with 5.5-inch screens or bigger need a 2K display to look really good. Other than that though, the screen is sweet, and watching movies, playing games, or editing documents on it is a real pleasure. It also doesn't hurt that the new ColorOS interface now looks much nicer with updated colors and interfaces that look fairly modern and in my opinion very friendly, even if pretty far away from Google's own material design, although the software is built on Android 5.1 Lollipop. It's a nice interface as long as you're not looking for stock Android. The functionality of ColorOS is great too. You can monitor network speeds in the notification bar, which is incredibly useful if you have unstable connections like I do, like always, as well as lock selected applications so one can only access them with a password, and you can easily make sure that no one accesses your inappropriate text messages or secret selfies or anything you want to keep private. My favorite feature is taking screenshots though. You can choose to screenshot only part of your screen or make a long screenshot where the phone combines multiple shots into one, giving you a long photo. This is great for websites or chat conversations or something like that. And fun fact, if you were wondering, it launched on ColorOS before the Note 5 came out. There's a ton of other clever stuff that I will mention, but not all is perfect either. You have soft keys now, but for some reason you can't customize them, for example, so you're stuck with an outdated menu button from, I don't know, like the Stone Ages, aka 3 years ago. Oppo also chose to stick with the boring iOS-style recents menu option instead of the much prettier cards layout of Android, which is especially painful when even iOS switched away from this and 2 card-style recents menus not long ago. And if you're looking for an app tray, you won't find it here either. Overall though, I think ColorOS is going into the right direction. They cut out a lot of unnecessary stuff and kept only the cool features, so it's now more streamlined and focused. And this can be seen from the performance as well. While the Snapdragon 615 is a pretty underwhelming mid-range chip, performance here is alright. If you're like me and you only do things like chat, social media, web browsing, and video streaming, then the phone will feel zippy enough, which is probably thanks to the more optimized ColorOS. Because of how I personally use my phone, I don't really mind the CPU choice. But I feel like for the price, Oppo should have gone with something better. I mean, you can buy a Snapdragon 810 powered phone for less, and that's quite hard to justify. Anyway, for those of you who need to quantify that, here are some benchmarks. Again, the word okay describes them best. As for games, I barely ever play, but hey, all the things I do for you guys. I give real racing a few hours, or more like a few days, and I found that loading took a bit too long, but the race itself went just fine without serious overheating and with great performance. The 3 GB of RAM is a great addition in any case, and it makes multitasking snappy, so performance is overall on the good side of average then. What's much more exciting is battery life and charging, and especially the combination of the two, and I mean a lot more exciting. A massive battery at 4,100 mAh, a power-efficient screen that's only full HD in resolution and uses AMOLED technology, a CPU that's not too power hungry, and then VOOC, the world's fastest quick charging technology, all make this a battery champ. It's not perfect, I get a bit more drain and standby than I should, but otherwise it's awesome. I can average 5 to 7 hours of screen on time every time, and for the first time since I've used smartphones, I sometimes don't charge mine overnight. Took you long enough, phone industry. Took you long enough. And of course, whenever I do run out of juice, VOOC is still the fastest mobile charging tech in the world and comes with car chargers and power banks too. Sweet. And also on the positive side is the camera. I made a full in-depth review of it not long ago, so check that out if you care a lot about the camera. To sum it up, the 13-megapixel Sony sensor with Schneider optics and laser autofocus do a great job at photos in good light conditions, and the RGBW layout of the sensor makes it one of the best low-light performers out there. You'll get minimal noise, clear images, even in really dark scenarios, which is very impressive. The camera software looks like a shameless copy of iOS, which I'm definitely not a fan of, but it's very easy to use and has a ton of settings, including full manual controls for photos and lots of other modes. Just like on any other Oppo phones, video capturing was clearly an afterthought though, and the Full HD footage has decent image quality, but it's shaky without image stabilization, and audio quality is extremely poor too. So the R7 Plus is great for photos and not so great for videos then. The Oppo R7 Plus is a bit of a confusing device. It has the looks, the build, the camera, the battery. It leaves the competition and even many flagships in the dust. At the same time, it comes with a CPU that's decidedly mid-range. And it's hard to think of it as a true flagship, but as the $500 price tag suggests, it's also not a mid-range phone. So maybe there's a category between the two. But if you can look past those things and you're looking for a huge upper mid-range beast, then I think you'll be quite happy picking up the Oppo R7 Plus. So I'll put a few purchase links in the video description below, so check them out if you're interested. So that does it for me and the Oppo R7 Plus. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, that like button below is waiting to get punished. And I have my Pebble Time Steel, which has just arrived. I have a ton of other stuff that I want to review. So if you want to see that, subscribe to my channel. And also follow me on any of the medias that you're social on. And I will see you in the next one.